Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, from wherever you are coming from today. We really appreciate you tuning in. Welcome to GMAT Club's MBA Spotlight Fair, featuring some of the best business schools from around the world. So, no surprise, we invited Michigan here. My name is Evan. I'm also known by my forum name, Nightblade354. Long story. I am GMAT Club's head moderator as well as an MBA director on the forum. Today's focus is a school that is near and dear to my heart. And if some of you are lucky enough, you will call it your future home. From Ann Arbor, please join me in welcoming Diana Economy, who's the Director of Admissions for the Michigan Ross School of Business, and Taya Sapp, the Senior Associate Director of Admissions for the Michigan Ross School of Business. Ladies, it is an honor and a delight to have you join me here today. Before I have you introduce yourselves, quick reminder to those who are watching. We're going to do some diving into some questions a little bit later, so make sure to join us directly after this session for our Zoom session to get your questions answered in a Q&A format. It'll be more one-on-one that way. We are offering some prizes, so there's a little more incentive for you to join. When you attend, the prize drawing will be at the end of the session, so yes, you have to stay for the whole thing, and why wouldn't you? It's Michigan. It'd be insane to quit early. The link to the prize drawing will be posted in the chat, so please keep an eye on that for the Zoom. With all that said, because you don't want to hear me speak, I'm going to now turn over to Diana and Taya. I'll be back in a little bit to ask some questions, but in the meantime, ladies, please introduce yourselves because I did neither of you justice, and frankly, that's probably not okay. So welcome to you both.
Great. Thanks, Evan. And I do hope that prize is a Michigan Ross sweatshirt, right? That would be like the ultimate prize for sticking around. But hello to all of you, and thank you for that great introduction. My name is Diana Economy, and I'm the Director of Full-Time MBA Admissions at Michigan Ross. And I'm also program. I ended up choosing this program for a variety of reasons: the strength and connectivity of the community and alumni, and the focus on social impact. I ended up helping to open up a charter school during my time at Michigan Ross, and was also able to take classes at the School of Education, the Public Policy School, and more. So really great, really connected interdisciplinary experience. Just can't say enough great things, and we look forward to telling you a little bit more about what differentiates Michigan Ross from other top MBA programs. I'll hand it over to my colleague, Taya Sapp.
Hello, everyone. My name is Taya. I'm a Senior Associate Director of Admissions. I did undergrad at Michigan, so very passionate about the school. You'll see us wearing maize and blue frequently, and love telling people about Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor is such a phenomenal, fantastic city. Lots of great things. Diana's going to cover a little bit about that in the presentation, so we'll get into that and can answer more questions later. I also really work, I'm really excited because I work with our healthcare community a lot of really cool things going on in that area. And we have a really phenomenal alumni community too. So excited to have you learn more about all of this today. And I will hand things back to Diana for the presentation.
Great. Thanks, Taya. And Taya is going to join me in just a few minutes as we get to the Q&A portion here. But to kick things off, we know that some of you are coming at this with different levels of knowledge of Michigan Ross. And so we want to be able to give everybody the baseline. But then some of you that have already learned a little bit about Michigan Ross, we've got some nice nuggets for you too to learn a little bit deeper about what this experience is all about. But to start off with, if you learn best by doing, this is the place to be. We have more hands-on learning experiences than any other school. We think you learn best by practicing those skills that you're learning while you're in school, potentially failing in a safe environment, learning from those mistakes, building from those, and then adding value going forward. And I will tell you that we hear from time and time again from recruiters that they value the same things, because the reality is you're going to be going into jobs in a few years from now that maybe don't exist in the exact format that they will in a few years. And that adaptability and that connectivity to really current trends and topics and being able to practice those skills while you're in school is going to be incredibly important. Now, that doesn't mean that every class is taught in a hands-on manner. In fact, about 60% of our core is taught through case method. So we do like case method, but we also like to give faculty the opportunity to vary the way that they teach that course on that day in the way that's going to make most sense to get that material across. And where possible, we try to use hands-on learning. One of the awesome other things that you should know about University of Michigan and Michigan Ross is that we have nearly 100 graduate programs ranked in the top 10. So I'm talking about if you go to the law school, the policy school, School of Environment, Public Health, and more, you are going to be going to incredible graduate programs. And for some of you, that's going to mean taking advantage of one of our over 20 dual degree options. And for others, that might mean dabbling in a few classes to complement your MBA experience. Incredibly multidisciplinary opportunity for you to be able to build upon the business skills we'll be teaching at Michigan Ross. And if you think about the world's most complex problems, whether it is climate change or hunger and homelessness, you name it, multidisciplinary solutions are at the core of that. So we're going to help you build those skills along the way. Not just us at Michigan Ross, but over 600,000 University of Michigan alums around the globe. One of the things you'll find is that Michigan Ross alums are connected to Michigan alums regardless of what they studied when they were in Ann Arbor. So you can pick up the phone and call a lawyer or an engineer or a doctor and say, go blue, and they're going to tell you go blue back. They are a part of your network. You are connected to this much larger network. One of the things I love about our alumni network is this stat about our alumni effectiveness. What this means is our alums will pick up the phone when you call. Right? This is a really connected community that, again, starts in Ann Arbor, that these relationships build and form, and they really last a lifetime. This is also a great place for career switchers. So we have 94% of the class that just graduated consider themselves a career switcher. Now that might be function or industry or both. So small career changes as well as much larger career changes. And we point to our hands-on learning experiences as those opportunities that are allowing you to build those skills while you're in school. So for those of you that knew all of that already, I want to share a couple new things that you might know a little bit less about. And the first is our new Business Plus Tech initiative, where we are having a number of opportunities for you to be able to build tech literacy skills while you're at Michigan Ross. For those of you that are going into tech, think about this as advanced level skills that you're going to apply going forward. For those of you that want to go into consulting or banking or anything else, you're still going to need to build and develop those skills, and we are going to offer a platform for you to be able to learn. We had a tech literacy recently. We had a recent hackathon. We have a sports tech conference and more. And this initiative is pulling together tech from across a variety of disciplines and saying, here's how tech infuses really everything that we're doing these days in business. We also have some really cool new clubs and organizations here on campus. So FitX is the first of its kind business, fitness, and health and wellness club amongst MBA programs. So think about this as the business of Peloton and all of its competitors, but also the health and wellness space and how tech infuses all of that as well. So FitX is a great place if you're interested in that space, and it's a lot of our students are involved with that, whether they're going to go directly into that path or whether it's just something that they have a personal interest in. Women Who Launch, this is a group that's helping women launch businesses. And Ann Arbor has incredible trajectory to get women investments into women-owned businesses. So Women Who Launch is going to help women really think about what's the next step in their economic journey and in launching their businesses. And finally, Michigan Climate Venture. We have more student-led investment funds than any other school. And the latest is the first of its kind Clean Tech Investment Fund that is through our Michigan Climate Venture Group, that is a partnership between our MBA program and the School of Environment and Sustainability. If you're interested in sustainability, Michigan Ross needs to be on your list. Make sure you check out the Herb Institute. Next, we have a new healthcare accelerator. It's called the Pinkert Healthcare Accelerator that's allowing our students to build and incubate their businesses in the healthcare space and solving some of the most challenging issues that are happening within healthcare. It's a very well-funded accelerator that a lot of our students are really excited about because it's going to really help them make the impact that they want to see in the world. And then the last thing I'll mention is that 98% of the class of 2021 had job offers within 3 months post-graduation. I know we get a lot of questions from international students about job placement, and I will tell you our international students crushed it. So did our domestic students, but I know in particular for you international students, that's something that's really top of mind, and this is a great place. You are going to get access to the top recruiters, and you're going to get your shot to be able to pitch to them. I mentioned that we have more hands-on learning experiences than any other school, and probably most notable is MAP. So the last 7 weeks of your first year, rather than being in the classroom, you're going to be on a consulting-like engagement called MAP. What's going to happen is you're going to be given about 100 projects to choose from. You're going to rank 15 that look really good to you. And I will tell you, out of the 100, you will easily find 15. And then it's our job to match you to the highest ranked project we can. So you will find that it's pretty often that our students get within their top 5. And then for a full 7 weeks of your first year, you're going to be engaging in this consulting like project for which you get credit for, right? So 100% of your time is going to be spent working on a really diverse team of students on a project that might be in a country that you haven't, worked in before, or a part of an industry or function that you're interested in getting into. This really serves as a substantial experience when you couple it with your internship in terms of preparing you for those next steps. And as I mentioned, another big reason why people talk about the success they have as career switchers. So in terms of career outcomes, one of the things we say is go blue and go anywhere. And what you find is that our alums go to a variety of different paths. Yes, consulting and tech lead the way, but you find that our alums go across the board, that they switch jobs with ease based on the strength of the alumni network, as well as the support of our career support, not only while you're a student, but after. If you were to ask me what the number one misconception is about Michigan Ross, it's that somehow you would be geographically limited in your post-MBA outcomes. And nothing could be further from the truth. We're one of the most geographically agnostic schools where we place students. And again, this just speaks to where they are right after school. You can imagine 2 years out, 5 years out, our alums are truly all over the world. We talked about the alumni network and the strength of the alumni network. Couple things that are really distinctive about Michigan Ross, and that is we are going to give you tuition-free executive education for life. So think about these as like $10,000 to $15,000 courses that you as an alum can tap back into when your team goes from 5 people to 50 people. Now you're managing a giant team and you want to beef up your knowledge on how to manage such a team. Or you're launching your own business and you really want to get a digital marketing class back under your belt, maybe a couple years out of school. This is a great portfolio for you to continue to learn and engage for life. We don't just see this relationship with you as 2 years. We see this as a long-term relationship. In addition, we have 4 entrepreneurs in residence through our Zell Lurie Institute. Very robust offerings around entrepreneurship, not just as students, but as alums. And these entrepreneurs in residence are serial entrepreneurs who are here to advise you on your business when you're ready to launch, whether that be in school, right after, or several years after. You'll be able to leverage that resource. And finally, we have a dedicated career support person for life. Right? So this is the person when you're ready to pivot and you need somebody to look at your resume or think about your cover letter or your networking strategies. That person is dedicated to our alumni to support their career pursuits. One of the things that's so incredible about being here at Michigan Ross is the opportunities that you have as being part of the Ann Arbor community. This is a great place for partners and families. This is a great place for a variety of people from around the globe because we have almost 100 graduate programs ranked in the top 10. You have a really cosmopolitan vibe here in Ann Arbor. So you've got what you would expect in a big city packaged in a smaller format. And that smaller format allows for incredible connectivity between our students where they're able to have a lot of variety in what they choose to do socially, how they engage and connect. And it's all centered around all that we offer here in Ann Arbor. I encourage you to talk to our student ambassadors to learn more about their experiences in Ann Arbor. For those of you that have not been to Michigan, we are 20 minutes from a major international airport. We've got world headquarters of Domino's Pizza and Ford really close by. We've got a giant Google office and more tech investment more and more over the years. So this is really an exciting place to be and a great place to learn. I want to talk a little bit about our admissions process. In particular, some of the things that maybe differentiate it from other programs that you're looking at. And to start off with, I want to let you know that we have a test waiver request process. So you do have to request a test waiver if you are going to consider it, and you have to be approved for it. But you are welcome to take a look at the criteria, some of the frequently asked questions. We'll make sure to put a link for that in the chat so that you can learn more. But what I will tell you is we heard from students and they said, I'm not well positioned to take the test right now for a variety of reasons. Maybe it's my Wi-Fi at home is inconsistent. Maybe it's I live in a multi-generational home and I don't have a great place to be able to take the test. And I'm not well positioned to perform my best at that test. If that speaks to you, then take a look at the test waiver process. We certainly still need to know that you're going to be able to be academically successful. And so we will be taking a look at other things, whether it's the rigor of your work experience, certainly undergraduate grades, and your personal situation that we'll take into account when reviewing that waiver request. If you receive the waiver and you apply without the test, essentially what happens is we review your candidacy without the test, right? So we review everything else that we have. So you're not at a disadvantage. We just take into account the other elements of your package. Our short answer essay questions, you will see these are prompts like, I knew I was out of my comfort zone when, or I was humbled when, I knew I was different when. These are your chance to tell us something about you. Maybe even something personal that we wouldn't learn from other parts of your application to help get a better feel for who you are as a candidate and what makes you tick. We only ask for one letter of recommendation. It's typically because we think there's one person that knows you particularly well and others who maybe know you kind of well. So your best shot is to get the person who can speak to the most depth of your experience. Ideally, it's a direct report supervisor or a former supervisor, but not always. We know not all of you are either in a position to tell your current employer, or maybe you work for a family business or you have your own business and maybe a customer or a client would be the best person to offer that letter of recommendation. So use your judgment as to who can give us an objective perspective through the recommendation letter. And finally, everybody's considered for scholarship through the admissions process. So your best way to be the most competitive for a scholarship is to put forward your best application. So we're going to use the basis of that application to make our scholarship assessment, and you'll know at the time of admission if you've been offered a scholarship. Couple ways to get to know us a little further. Our admissions blogs and vlogs, we try to be as transparent as we can be. Here's what's happening in the process. Here's what we're thinking. And here's what you can do to be the best version of you in the application process. We have several hundred student ambassadors. And what I love about this page is that you can filter by the student clubs that they're in, where they're from. We know there's multiple parts of your identity that you're using to think about the MBA experience. And so we want to give you the information you need to reach out to maybe a few folks who can help you better understand what this experience is about and how it might be right for you. I also love our Business Beyond Usual student podcast. This podcast talks about everything from classroom experience to life in Ann Arbor to life with a partner to, what does it mean to be a career switcher at Ross and more. So do take a look at our Business Beyond Usual podcast. And finally, we have a lot of recorded webinars, both on admissions tips, but also I want to pay particular attention to our career webinar recordings. Here we spend an hour on topics like why Ross for healthcare, why Ross for tech and consulting and data analytics and more. A full hour. So do listen to those webinars if you're trying to figure out which career path is best for you, but also how Michigan Ross can support you to get to that career path. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and we'll pop back on and answer whatever questions you have. Hey, Taya.
Hi.
Wow. So if all that doesn't want to make you yell "Go Blue" and run through a brick wall to be at Ann Arbor, I don't think anything will. So thank you for sharing all that information with our audience. I know I got a lot out of it. We have a few questions we'd like to cover during the next few minutes. Remember, folks, if your question isn't covered here in this moment, we are going to do a Zoom session. I encourage you to join the Zoom session right after the video ends. That way you can ask a specific question to yourself. I have 4 questions here. I don't know if we can get to each one of them, but I'm going to try and get to them as quickly as I can. So Diana and Taya, diversity is a huge thing in today's day and age. How does Ross incorporate diversity considerations into crafting a holistic MBA class?
Yeah, I mean, Evan, this is a topic that we talk about literally daily. It just infuses our whole community and all of the things that we do in the student experience. And just to give you some context, our last 10 student body presidents have come from the consortium, right? So the last four
Wow.
are Black women. And even of our 10 section leaders, most are from the consortium or are women, right? And so we really take a look at not just the numbers on the class profile, like the representation in the class, but are people thriving in this experience? And are they able to contribute to building a really diverse and inclusive community? Taya, I know one of our favorite events are all of our storytelling events, right? So last night we did it's an event called Food, Friends, and Culture, where students from the Greater China Association were able to share their lived experience and narrative to build a level of connectivity and empathy with their classmates. Last week, we did VetX, where our veterans were sharing their stories. We also had our Diwali event, where our Indian students taught the non-Indian students how to dance. And at a nightclub, they had the big performance and party to be able to celebrate culture and experiences. So
Wow.
this has happened multiple times over during the experience. We have inclusion reps in each of the sections. We have a DEI committee that's very much focused on inclusive teaching practices and how do we enter and exit communities in an inclusive way. And so it's very much at the forefront of who we are as a school. And then it obviously infuses kind of how we, how we pick the class. Taya, you want to add anything to that?
The only other thing I'd add, because you did a pretty good job covering the variety of experiences, is the type of people we're looking for. And we want people who want to learn from people who are different from them, are actively seeking out connections from a diverse group of people. Your MBA is likely going to be the most diverse experience you'll ever have. And so we want to be admitting people who want to take advantage of that opportunity to be learning from people who are from different countries, different backgrounds, professionally, different socioeconomic backgrounds, all different types of backgrounds. And we're looking for people who want that.
Yeah, and I'll translate that, Taya, to a kind of a pro tip from an admissions perspective. And that is, people take a look at our short answer essay questions and they say, okay, well, what are like the 2 or 3 traits that you're looking for? Well, the reality is, if we were to over index on 2 or 3 traits across, 400 people in a class, that wouldn't be a very interesting class, right? You don't want to go to school with people that all have exactly the same quotients of the same kind of traits. You want people that bring a diversity of traits to bear. And if I listed 10 or 15 traits and said, would you want these traits in your classmate? The answer would be yes. Now, not all of you peak on each of those traits. So you have to think about, what is it that I uniquely bring to this community? What are the things that are my strengths? How am I going to contribute? And what makes me tick? What makes me different? I think that if you start digging in and saying, okay, they're looking for this and this and this, like obviously we want collaborative students, but who's better to tell me you're collaborative? You or the person you collaborate with? Probably the person you collaborate with, right? So maybe that comes through in your recommendation letter, or otherwise, maybe it comes through in your interview, but you do not need to try to jam particular concepts into your application just because you think it's important for us to see them. It's going to be important for us to get to know you and what makes you tick. And that's what brings the diversity of this class.
Well, that was a really thorough answer across everything. I think we covered way more than I was expecting, but this creates a really great flow into the next question I had, which is, you talk about diverse backgrounds. We, as you said, socioeconomic, different strengths, different weaknesses, different countries, you name it. You also get a lot of career switchers. And in that vein, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, what are the primary skills you try and look for in a candidate who is looking to change his or her career and do it through Michigan Ross?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of data on this, Evan, right? So what happens is, when the class graduates, so let's say the class of 2021 that just graduated, we have the data that showcases their admissions profile, their grades, their involvement while they were in school, their MAP project, their internship, their full-time MBA trajectory. So I know who's going to Amazon and what their backgrounds are. I know who's going to McKinsey and what their backgrounds are. We know where we maybe took somebody's background in the past and saw success. And I will tell you, there's no recipe for it. I see younger candidates that do really well. I see older candidates that do really well. I see, candidates that come from, engineering backgrounds do really well. I mean, really, truly across the board, you can come from a variety of backgrounds. What helps with career switching is the ability to adapt and be resilient and be flexible and to take and receive feedback, because you are going to have a feedback army around you. I'm talking about the whole career development office. I'm talking about our 80 plus peer coaches. You're going to have hands-on learning experiences where I talk to people who've turned down other top ranked schools and they said they had some experiences like this, but not as hands-on as the ones I could get very early on in my tenure at Michigan Ross. And as a result of what we know to be true of the strength of our hands-on learning platform, we know that there's a variety of backgrounds that can be successful at Michigan Ross. Say anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only other thing I would say is that there's just a ton of resources to help you with a career switch as well. So thinking about, we have career coaches on staff. There's second-year students. We have over 70 different second-year students who are trained by the Career Development Office and meet with students in small groups based on the industry you're interested in, and really get into, help. It's like kind of a mini boot camp of helping you train to recruit for that industry. There's clubs, professional clubs, they're going to help you and have weekly sessions, conferences, boot camps. All of these types of resources are going to help students. And so that's why we really focus on the traits that Diana mentioned, and not so much, what you say your career goal is in your application, and will this, is it likely with your background and that career goal, is it likely? We are really focused on the traits that you have. And that's something that employers are looking for as well.
Okay, so it sounds like Michigan Ross is the school to go to if you are trying to make that transition. I did have one more question. I don't know, Diana, if maybe you guys could answer literally like 15 seconds. For those who are watching, how have the round one applications been, in the sense of, I guess, has it been a more competitive year? Has it been a less competitive year? How are things looking like for round 2 and 3 applicants?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'll tell you, we are reviewing round 1 applicants right now with the December 8th decision date coming up in the next few weeks. And so I think that you can take a look at volume, but I think volume is one thing. And I think the quality of the candidates who are applying is another thing. And I will say we have seen really great candidates through round 1. I think even now as we're reviewing, we're kind of heads down and trying to understand what that's going to mean for the outcomes in a few weeks from now. But, if Michigan Ross is the right school for you, I would say apply. Even if you're here today and you're just hearing about Michigan Ross for the first time, that next deadline's in early January. We've got a 3rd round deadline a few months after that. You have time, and I think you have an opportunity to be thoughtful about putting forward an application. And we're excited to read it and learn a little bit more about you and your candidacy.
Wonderful. Taya, I didn't want to leave you out. Did you have anything to add on to that?
That was perfect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today. We hope to all of our audience, this provided you guys with a lot of valuable information about Michigan Ross. Again, it gave me a ton of information. If you still have questions, remember you can join us in the Zoom. The link is now going to be posted in the chat, and we hope to see you there. You can also stay tuned on YouTube for our next business school presentation. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Diana and Taya, for your time. We'll see you guys in the Zoom momentarily, and go blue.
Go blue.
Go blue.
Go blue, guys.
Bye.